Okay, recording this video after close trade Monday 27th of April 2015. Well, I loved getting to my inbox and finding charts from traders like this. This is a fantastic chart from Rahul today. He's talking about the head and shoulder activity that we had. I'll just read you the email quickly. Thank you again for the prime indicator. It gave a nice trade today in confluence with the strategies I use. The head and shoulder pattern with the amateur right shoulder increased the probability of the trade. And Rahul sent his 1500 tip bar chart here. Left shoulder marked, the head and the right shoulder with all this amateur activity kind of happening here. And what's great about this for me is people are talking about the market in kind of the same language I do, with professional and amateur bars, and using the better indicators. So I really like that. I'll talk you through this trade because Rahul's got it absolutely right. That's what we saw with today's activity. It was head and shoulders kind of first thing that kind of generated a really nice kind of sell-off into the close today. Must admit, nothing much going on before this Dallas Fed manufacturing number at 9:30 kind of came out. We really were just kind of testing the highs and the lows here. So resistance kind of coming in at the open, we kind of sell off. We can see the market's weak because we've gone through a support level on the 1500 tip bar chart, but some blue professional bars kind of hold it at the bottom here. A little one here kind of just buying that kind of expectation of us kind of going up and testing the highs. And then coming into resistance here, you can see the resistance does not get hit. We don't go through it. We've gone through support, so the market is weak. We've come back up and bounced straight off resistance, showing that the market's weak as well. And then all these blue professional bars kind of coming at the highs at that previous high. No exhaustion pattern, it just shows kind of weaker divergence patterns kind of going on. And then the first little clue that we know this level is really weak is amateur up bars here, and that's exactly what Rahul's talking about here. These amateur up bars, whether you count this as, so left shoulder head, whether you count that as the right shoulder or as this as the right shoulder, it shows on that test back up how weak it is. The amateurs are wanting to go long, expectation of a breakout above 1819, doesn't work out, turns around immediately and kind of heads off. And then we go down again through support, just showing how weak the market is kind of going on here. We test back up, we bounce against a resistance level with amateur up bars again, and then finally we get a nice kind of solid break through support here on the 1500 tip bar chart, and it kind of drops off into a pullback to end of trend. No chance this thing's going to end, reverse and go the other way. We've gone through our 11 a.m. kind of window here, which is kind of around here, where we're kind of breaking down at that point. So we're just going to play with the lows and kind of keep pressing into the lows to the end of the day. And the low for the day was 2100 and a quarter, which is kind of logical because that's 2100 is a really important level that we're going to kind of bounce off. But as we're coming down, you can see amateur up bars all the way down. So we know we're in a downtrend because the amateurs are trying to go long. The amateurs are trying to go long. They're even trying to go long into this little kind of retrace here. We break through support into this strong downtrend move. Here's the amateurs up bars at that point, up bars into that point there, an up bar kind of at this point here. I mean, the whole way down there were amateurs showing on each of these turning points, and we just bounced straight off those turning points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of going down, showing that we're in a downtrend. We keep on sinking through supports, sinking through supports, sinking through supports, sinking through supports here. So that's, we're in a downtrend, and all the amateur bars are happening, bouncing off these resistance patterns as we're kind of coming down through this this downtrend move. So it was a nice little kind of short activity here. I was, what was I short at? Short at 1725. So on this little retrace here, we actually had on the 500 tip bar chart, it was a whole bunch of blue professional bars and an exhaustion buy at that point. And as soon as we turned around there, bang, that was a signal to get short. And got out at 1325 for my 4. I was happy to be out because the market, I've been kind of trading, doing nothing, 3 trades break even and for an hour's trade. So finally got a 4-point trade out and just quit for the day. But obviously, this retrace move in here was another kind of beauty. Breakdown here until we get exhaustion sell, where we're starting to get exhausted on the way down here. So there we go, great example of head and shoulders, and it just makes me feel good that people can see it too on their chart. So I feel as if I'm helping. Pound, just quickly on the pound, been talking about the pound since the beginning of the month, and finally by the end of the month we're up at 152 now on the pound on the futures. And so we've broken out. I said the 150 level was absolutely key. Took us a while to get through there, but we're finally up at 152. Now, just to recap on this in terms of the dollar index and all the other kind of currencies, I see strength in all the other currencies and kind of weakness in the dollar index, but it's just temporary. And what I'm looking for is when we get on the weekly chart, this cyclical cross on better sine wave where this comes in. We're in a downtrend because we've sunk below support here on the weekly chart. We're going to come back up and find that pull back in a downtrend resistance level to kind of come in. So when these start to kind of come together, wrap around and kind of move down, that'll be the end of this kind of strength that we have. But it's going to be it's going to be kind of choppy on the daily chart. We've got all kinds of important levels to try and get through. So what's this one here? This one is at 55. Then this support kind of breakdown levels at 50. My eyes are going 58.5, something like that. So it's going to be kind of slow going on the way up, but I think temporarily we've got a little bit of support in these currencies. And here's the dollar index. We've had this big push up into end of trend exhaustion buy. We came back up to test into those 100 kind of level. We got turned around, and this is really an important level. I talk about these big blue spiky bars. So the low of this bar, which is kind of 94 3/4 on the dollar index, or around this level, is going to be absolutely key. And at some point we'll find cyclical support on the weekly chart, but I'm seeing that kind of strength in those currencies. Who knows what's kind of driving that? Is it just the markets just run too fast, too far for the time being? It does mean there might be kind of some weakness in equities, but we'll kind of see going forward. We bust through, just like on this downtrend move today on the 1500. We're kind of coming through supports all the time, and that shows the market's weak and bouncing off resistance. If you look at the higher time frame charts on the E-mini, we've been pushing through resistances and kind of bouncing off supports. So there's an inherent kind of weak strength in the equities market at the moment. We've got a sell-off happening at the moment, but I still think longer term, it's not showing the weakness that we'd expect at for the time being. So let's see. We'll probably have a little bit of weakness into Tuesday. This has to complete. The 4500 tip bar chart is broken into a downtrend now. We've got to go pull back end of trend on the 4500 tip bar chart, and that 2100 level is going to be absolutely key. So let's see what we do tomorrow morning, whether we put in pullback to end of trend, kind of test back into 2100, put in a flush pattern, something like that. To end this move on the way down. That might be an area where we kind of see some support, but it's still in a downtrend. This thing has to complete pullback end of trend, so let's just see how that works out. Anyway, I hope your trading is going well.